Hello and welcome to Lofty May Vlogs. My name is Tracy and I'm the host of the Knitting on the Float podcast. Today it is, I'm not sure whether it's partly cloudy or partly sunny. I can't remember the difference. All I know is the sun keeps coming out from behind the clouds for a little while, and then the harsh rays come in, which is perfectly fine. And then other times the sun is behind the clouds. So right now I've got the awnings out to hopefully deal with the harsh rays, but at the moment the sun is behind the clouds. The other thing I'm dealing with right now, and I have recorded this introduction countless times, is Miss Scout here. She wants to play this game where she wants in, she wants out. So I'm going to get up and I'm going to see if she wants back in again. We've done this about 10 times already, at least. So, son, dog, it's making starting today's vlog a little bit challenging, but we will get through it, we really will. The dog has come back in and the sun is about to come out. So we're just playing games today, but that's okay. Hopefully, I can sit down for a few minutes, enjoy a cup of tea, there's that sunshine, share with you a little bit about what I worked on last night, and then we will head up to the loft and do today's task at hand. And it's the dreaded one. It's the one I've been putting off, but we are at May 30th, so I don't have too much longer to put off this task, so we're gonna do it. Any guesses? I'm sure you're right. Scout here is loving a little scratch behind the ear, so if you're able to give her a quick scratch, she would be very, very appreciative. Okay, let's have a wonderful beverage together before we start chatting about the crafting. And today I am drinking out of my Bluebird pottery mug, and I bought this off of Etsy. And it is a cute little mug with buttons, and then of course there is a stockingette pattern on the pottery as well. Today I am drinking biscuit tea because who doesn't love a cup of biscuit tea? Oh, she's gonna want out again. It's been a game all morning, it really has. Anyway, biscuit tea, lovely Bluebird pottery mug. And I'm gonna let the dog out again, and then we'll come back and do a cheers. That'll give me a chance at least to think about what cheers I want to say today, because I'm kind of getting a little bit frustrated. I let her out, she turned around and looked at me. Silly, silly puppy. Okay, back to our cheer of the day. And now the phone is ringing. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see if I can finally do this without any interruptions. So, let us say cheers to getting things done despite all the interruptions and pushing through when sometimes there are challenges. Because you know what? We can do it. We really can. I'm surprised my tea wasn't cold by the time I got to it. It's been one of those days. When I answered the phone, it was Isaac on the phone, and I knew it was him, so I just picked it up and I said, "Is everybody trying to conspire against me today?" Kind of took him by surprise. He said, "I'm not trying to conspire against you. I just had a question for you, Mom." It's all good. It is all good. Last night, I am very, very happy to say that I met my goal. And this is Sock 2 of the Handmade Sock Society Season 5. If you've been following along, you know this. You know the yarn. You know everything except for what the pattern looks like. And that will be on Thursday. So I had set a goal for myself. I was really, really hoping to finish off the leg, get through the heel, and in my mind, I was just hoping to really just get into the gusset, but my big hope in my heart was to actually get through the gusset. So last night, I worked on the foot, I did my heel flap, my heel turn, and I got completely through the gusset. So for today, it is just the foot and the toe, and then sewing in ends, and then sock 2 of pattern 2 of the Handmade Sock Society season 5 will be ready to soak, put on the blocking mats, and take photographs. So I am really hoping that my mojo is good today so I can get through all the repeats. And there's not that many. I'm more than halfway done. So it's just a matter of getting the brain going, ignoring the distractions of barking dogs, ringing phones, and all those things, and just knitting. And sometimes it is a little bit more challenging than that, but I have the determination. Anyway, I am using this gorgeous Wool Barn yarn. This is Plush Sock, which is now Soft Sock, and it is an 85% merino and 15% nylon base. And the stitch definition is absolutely beautiful. This is the colorway Mist. We chose this out earlier this month when we were putting yarn into the cabinet. Well, the day after we put yarn into the cabinet. When it was going into the cabinet, I eyed it, and then the day after, I grabbed it. Anyway, this beautiful skein of yarn is getting smaller, which is a good thing because that means my sock is getting bigger, and that means it'll fit me, so that will be a fantastic thing. I am hoping that tomorrow is the last day I pull out this project bag to tell you about my progress, because on Thursday, my hope is that we are going to, oh, you gotta see. I don't know whether you can see the blue heron flying across the river. Yet another distraction. My peripheral vision saw movement happening, and I looked, and it was a great blue heron, and oh, I wish I had been able to just grab the camera really quickly and do all the zooming I needed to do, because it just glided across the river. I want to share everything, but I can't. Anyway, I was chatting saying that this pattern is going to be released on Thursday, and on Thursday we will do a final vlog. It'll be June 1st. The May vlogs will be done, but we will do a little vlog, and I will share the wonderful, wonderful pattern that is pattern 2. I'll be able to tell you the name of the pattern, and of course I will be able to share my 2 gorgeous, gorgeous completed socks that I've been chatting on away for a good part of this month, but haven't been able to tell you too much about. Anyway, that is living in my gorgeous little bobbins bag, but it will not be living in there for much longer. We are going to head upstairs, and I mentioned we're going to do the thing I don't want to do, but we're going to do it because it'll be so good once the task is completed. And you know what? We are almost there. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I know it's not a train. Let's go upstairs, and of course you can tell that Scout has been here. So we will go upstairs. I think we need to sweep the stairs. And let's see how things are looking. Oh, doesn't that look good? Let's see the other side. Oh, lazy Susan, we still need to deal with that. But otherwise, looking good. The buck stops here. We are going to deal with that second shelf in the closet today. I know, not much of a surprise. Put a couple more things in the bottom. I've got some of the things to go with my spinning wheel, but let's take a closer look at what we're going to deal with today. Here we are, the dreaded task. And the dreaded tasks are usually the ones that are really just feeling overwhelming. And I look at this and I just don't know where to begin. And that's often the case for things that we just put off doing. We procrastinate them because we just don't know where to start. This originally was a space that was supposed to hold my embroidery and my cross stitch things, and has now got those things, but some of the sewing things have also gotten in there, and it's just become a catch-all for things I didn't want to deal with earlier in the month or even before then. So today what I'm going to do, I'm just going to empty it all out, figure out what stays in the closet, what either needs to go somewhere else, maybe on another shelf, maybe somewhere else in the space, or maybe it just doesn't belong at all. We'll need to figure that one out as we go. But no time like the present. I think that it is time to rip off the Band-Aid and just start pulling all of the lovely things out of this cupboard. And there are lots and lots of lovely things in here. It's quite a tight space to work in today, so I'm probably going to make a huge mess over there, but let's start. These were previously on the ironing board, but we folded the ironing board up, and I think that it makes sense to keep them. Actually, you know what? Let's move these onto the sewing shelf. Let's put them there straight away. Okay, let's do this. I have emptied out a big chunk of the things that were on the second shelf, and there are lots of beautiful Nikki Franklin embroidery kits here. My own cross stitch bag with patterns is here, buttons, beads, lots of beautiful things. So I just need to figure out how to put them into the cupboard in a orderly fashion, and it really shouldn't take all that long. It's just a matter of figuring out how to do it best. And I also have the Lazy Susan. I need to decide whether I want to pop things in the Lazy Susan and also then pop her onto that second shelf so that she's easy to just grab and go with sewing things in it. The top shelf has had a few more additions. I have added some beautiful Aurifil threads, and then all of my rulers, and I have a cutting mat there, and then I have a portable iron, and then I have the little funnel that fills our steam iron as well, and I've got my pattern weights there, and I've put the ham and the sleeve roll on the side here. So it's still a functional space, easy to reach in and grab what I need, although if I do need that back container of fabric, it is going to be a little bit more challenging to get to. But you know what? I already had some stuff there anyway, so it's fine. It's all good. Okay, let's figure out how to put this second shelf back in order. This is my cross stitch bag, and I do have to say the one thing about cross stitching is that it takes up a lot less space than a knitting or sewing stash. I mean, certainly I do have some of the bigger things like some beautiful linens, but a lot of the things that I had, like my needles, and I had a binder that had all my threads that fit in here as well. It's downstairs in the sewing machine, but all of the patterns that I had easily fit in this bag. You will recognize this one here. This is the Paula Vaughn and the upstairs sewing room, which is currently just over there in the sewing room side. And I have some other beautiful Hardanger patterns. The poem If. I have the pattern, I believe, I thought this was the pattern for, oh, this is a pattern that I have for one that I have downstairs framed. Oh my goodness. This is, I don't even know how old this is. Probably my mother gave it to me. And, oh, wow. More than likely from late 70s, early 80s. I don't know how to knit or crochet guide. I could probably use it for strengthening my crochet skills. And I have lots of other beautiful cross stitch patterns in here. I'm looking for the porch swing, but I don't see it. Here is the pattern for the wedding pillow that we will probably deal with tomorrow. And you know, I had some other patterns in here, but I just don't know where they've gotten to, whether I lent them out. I have a feeling I may have lent them out because the porch swing should be there. And then I have this book that had some wonderful patterns and I just can't find it. So I think I may have lent it to somebody and it's probably in Toronto. I also have some gorgeous fabrics that I bought. This one's from Lewis Craft. So I purchased this a long time ago. And this one's Hardanger. And then this is some beautiful linen, because I love working with linen. I just wish my eyes were a little bit better. More linen. So lots of things fit into this basket. I believe I used this for some of the Hardanger patterns that I had done. Hoops, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I will straighten this up a little bit. Oh, by the way, I love these things, the Loran MasterCards. These are fabulous for putting the embroidery flosses on. And I just wrap them all around and then I just cut at the top and then I pop them through. So I did pick up some more of those because I love them. And that's one right there, a little bit bent, but the holes pop out. And then I've got more fabrics. I've got paint chip samples. That probably doesn't belong here. And I've got some more beads in film containers as well as some embroidery flosses here too. Oh, so much to go through. And beads in a David's container. Just a little bit out of control here. Anyway, I'm going to put this back together and figure out how it fits on the shelf that you are currently sitting on. A couple of days ago, I said we were going to be dealing with this again. And what I've decided is I have this, it's more than a handful of beautiful silver shanked buttons. And these are from Loop. I have my beautiful button jar, and I know it's going to be a pain to search through there for them when I want them, but you know what? I'm going to put them there because that's usually where I go when I'm looking for a button. So rather than having to go through bags, I'm going to put my lovely buttons. I think I must have bought 20 of them. And I can't remember what I purchased them for. That's often the case, isn't it? You find beautiful buttons and you purchase them because they're fun. And there we are. I have an empty bag, but some more buttons in the button jar. And I have another bag or two that has some buttons in it. So I think I will do the same. And then that way when I go to get my buttons, yeah, it's a bit of a struggle to get through, but who doesn't love a button jar? And maybe I should actually put this in a clear jar and put it up by the sewing machine. Oh, that would be amazing. And then I can use this for cooking again. That might be a smart thing to do. On my to-do list, get a nice sort of mason jar and put buttons in it. That'll be fun. We're going to move in a moment because a boat just went by really fast. So expect to start rocking because that's what happens when you live on a house that floats and inconsiderate people go by very fast in their boats. Get ready for it. I don't normally feel the swaying but I'm swaying right now. And you might be able to hear downstairs the water sloshing. Thankfully, there's only one time I've actually felt seasick on my house, and that was in the middle of the night. And yeah, that was a fun experience. But for the most part, you don't feel the movement too much, but it's lots of fun when people go by fast on their boats. I have another lovely bag here that is from Textile Garden, and this has beautiful, beautiful buttons in it. And this one's a little bit more difficult because these are wonderful bone buttons, and these are for when I do my East Wind by Emily Foden. That's from the Knits About Winter. So I don't want to put these in the button jar, but I also want to make sure I keep them somewhere safe. So I think what I will do is go through and figure out what needs to stay. So buttons like this can go in the button jar, but those beautiful bone ones really need to be protected. So figure out what works best. I have some lovely glittery buttons that can definitely go in the button jar, and I have these adorable mouse buttons, although I guess I have lots of them, so I've got lots of little mice buttons. But oh, I love the glitter on these, the small ones. Let's put these glittery and mousy buttons into the jar, and then I've got a few more here. I think a smart thing to do with the bone buttons, rather than putting them in the cupboard there, is to get the kit or the yarns that I have set aside for my East Wind cardigan and put these with that yarn. So then that way when I'm ready to do that knit, I've got the buttons easily accessible and very close at hand. I have these beautiful ceramic buttons. There's some different, more fragile ones, and I've got some fun, I think they're polymer. They're like a polymer clay, and these are from Kid Elite Ivy Designs, and I got these in upstate New York many, many years ago. And I've also got this little kit of buttons, and I think what I will do along with the bone buttons is I have one more drawer still in the sewing desk, and I think I will put these safely away so that I can easily find them, but they're not going to get broken. And I just have to remember that I'll have a button jar and a little drawer that has a few of the precious buttons in them so that I'm not completely lost when I'm looking for buttons. And then I have some that are on cards, and you know what? I'm actually just going to pop these off and pop them in the button container, because there's no point taking up a lot of space when I can keep them in a smaller space. It doesn't look like it, but I have done some work, and Greg has just mentioned that there are some little goslings outside that are getting bigger, so we're going to go outside and see them. Just in the area between the shared dock and the land, we have this goose family, and look at these goslings. They are getting so big. We have just popped out to check on those adorable goslings that are getting so big. And as I was heading back up the stairs, look who has come to greet us. I'd tell you that she brought you the toy, but because we've already gone up the stairs once today, we know it was already there. Anyway, we will head back up and we're almost done. It doesn't look like it, but we really are almost done. Look at this. The second shelf is now straightened, and you can see Lazy Susan is there with nothing in her at this moment. I think we'll deal with that maybe tomorrow and get all the hand sewing things in there. Step over the dog. And here is the second shelf. I've got my kits, and I have a mixture of embroidery, cross stitch, and then some English paper piecing as well. And yes, organized, organized, and organized. So I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out, and it's nice to know that not only are the open spaces easy to access and find things, but also the closed spaces too. It's always lovely when you are going through and find little treasures, and these had been in the tin that had my special buttons, and these are little tiny clothes pegs with stitch markers attached. And a long time ago, Hedgerow Yarns used to come with one of these clipped onto the ball band, and I have several. And what I used to do with these at our old house in Toronto is I would clip these and put these in my advent calendar that I had up on the wall. It was just a little treat to see and a pretty way to display, but now I just need to figure out how I will display these here, because they are just so precious, aren't they? Where I started off the day with lots of interruptions, it's actually been a fantastic afternoon, and the job got done relatively quickly. I'm so glad that you joined me while I worked on getting that shelf that I had been so dreading all cleaned up. It is looking fantastic. There's only just a little bit left to do. It feels so good. Well, thank you for joining me today or this evening, whatever time it is for you. And I am looking forward to visiting with you tomorrow when we will close out the month of May. It's not going to be May anymore, it's going to be June. So I will see you then, and have a wonderful one. Bye. Look what has made it into the craft space. Scout's toy. So I think we will pick this up, take it downstairs, and put it in Scout's basket so that tomorrow she can bring it to you when we visit again. Bye.